Welcome to the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast with your host, Emmett Muckles. Please visit iTunes, Stitcher, or emmettmuckles.com to listen to all the episodes for free.
Ladies and gentlemen, today on the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast, my guest is Else Byskov. And you may remember her from her previous appearances on the Billionaire Lifestyle Podcast, but she wrote an interesting article related to karma and the COVID-19 virus. And I thought it was an interesting take on the universal view of the subject. So I invited her onto the show so that we could discuss her article and go a little deeper into the philosophical ramifications of COVID-19. Stay tuned for Else Byskov and our discussion about COVID-19 and karma. So, Else, I saw an article on Facebook that you had written related to Martinez and how this is karmic, what we're going through. And what I'm referring to is the COVID-19 or the coronavirus that we're experiencing, because this is unprecedented.
Yes.
This is, the world is shutting down, which is bizarre. And to me, I was, on the fence, like, there's got to be something else behind this. There's something else going on. Because you just don't shut the world down. You don't, for one, you don't shut the United States down because it is like the capitalistic capital of the world. But what's your take on it? Because I was reading the article, but I was like, let me reach out to her directly and see what her thoughts were and how she formulated everything.
Well, thank you very much, Emmett, for reaching out to me. Yes, well, I have studied the Martinez material. Martinez is spiritual science for 25 years now. And obviously, 25 years of study gives you some kind of insight. And I've written 8 books about aspects of his work in English. So they're all on Amazon. But this thing about karma and coronavirus is that I've just also published, my latest book is called Fate and Karma in a Nutshell, How to Understand Your Fate and Change It for the Better. It only came out 3 weeks ago or something. And what we have to understand is that everything that happens to us is karma. And what is karma? Karma is a result of something we have sown ourselves, because the law of karma in all its simplicity decrees that you reap as you sow. Or put in another way, what you do to others, you eventually do to yourself. So now we are experiencing a global return of karma that, hits everybody. And what can this be karma from? Because all our actions, whenever we perform an action, we send out a small amount of energy into the universe. And as there's no straight line in the universe, this energy will perform a circle, and return to its point of origin. And when it returns, we get the same back as what we did to others. So everything we experience is really results of something that we have done to others in this life or in a former life. And this is a very important aspect, because we cannot understand, nobody can understand his fate seen in a one-life perspective. So we need to see this in the perspective that spans many, many lives, because actions sown in one life can take a long time traveling through the universe, and they can come back to us in a later life. But let's get back to the coronavirus, because to me, it seems pretty obvious that this virus is a result of something that most of us have done. And what have most of us done, and what are most of us, what shall I say?
Continue to do?
What are we all guilty of?
Yeah.
And that is the way we treat animals. And I mean, most people think that the fifth commandment, thou shalt not kill, only refers to taking the life of other humans. But funnily enough, well, it's not really funny, that the fifth commandment does not specify this not killing to only include other humans. It says, do not kill. So we must realize, and Martinus is very, very clear about this, that we cannot take the life of an animal and not expect that not to affect our own fate. Because when you kill, you will get killed. When you cheat, you will be cheated on. When you lie, you will be lied to. When you steal, you will be stolen to, etc., etc. So everything you do to others, you eventually do to yourself. So this complete disrespect of other living beings' lives, as that we are manifesting every day all over the world, like crazy are we stuffing ourselves with meat, and we think that we cannot live without it, and that we think that it's a vital condition for our own survival to eat meat. And I don't know where this idea comes from. It could come from the meat industry. I don't know. I grew up with that same idea. But it has absolutely nothing to do with what is real, because we are all much better off on a vegetarian or plant-based diet. I mean, we are healthier, we are less prone to illnesses, our immune system is stronger. We don't undermine our health with the vibration of meat, which is way too high for our digestive system. Plus the depletion of the natural resources that this meat production means, plus the emissions from the cows, which send out a lot of CO2 into the atmosphere. So, and this is something that people, they take it for granted, that they have the right to take the lives of other people, of other animals, and that is fine.
Yeah. They
don't realize that they're much better off on a plant-based diet. But this, as I see it, as a huge wake-up call. Hey, wake up! Don't you see what you're doing? And I mean, it's horrendous. I don't know if you've seen some of those videos that are out there on Netflix, like What the Health.
Oh, I've seen them. I've seen the videos referring to the processing of animals. But, I was thinking about what you said, and you related it to our consumption of meat and the needless consumption of meat, because we raise these animals strictly for production or strictly for food, and that's part A to me, because as human beings, we've created or we've committed some atrocities against humanity itself as well.
Absolutely.
Because I think, I live in the United States, and people always ask me, Emmett, why are you so happy? And I say, because of my life. My life is really good. I'm like, most Americans don't travel too far from where they are born. And when I say that, they might travel a couple 100 miles, but that's about it.
Okay.
But once you get outside of your comfort zone, you get to see a few things, and you're like, wow, that's different. Or you get to see someone who's happy in their life, and they have so fewer resources than we have. I mean, we have an abundance here in the United States. You pay for everything,
yeah.
But still, it is it's available. And just the waste that we go through on a daily basis. I'm not talking about just food. I'm talking about raw materials, things that we just chuck away. Yeah. So for me, I was wondering if it really plays into the historical context of the human atrocities that we've also committed against each other throughout the centuries, because, I've been saying this for at least a couple of years now. We've headed into the Aquarian Age, which is a very feminine age. And you can actually see it if you look at what's happening with the women's empowerment movement and the stance that women are taking which is a subtler age. So we're out of this warring man age, but you made me think, is it time to pay the piper for the actions we've done in the past?
Absolutely. I mean, everything is karma. Everything that happens to us is karma. We may not think of it as such, and we think that it doesn't matter what I do. I can go out and kill. I can go hunting and go and kill a deer, and that makes me a fantastic hunter and all that. And you don't realize that this will have consequences for your own fate now, in this life or in a later life. And I mean, the whole point of this, my latest book, is to make people realize that it matters how we treat others. It matters what we do. And once we get it and start only showing what we would be happy to reap, and what would we be happy to reap? Friendship, compassion, help, a universal love, tolerance, kindness, and all these things. So when we go out there and sow these things, then we will reap them, and we will have a happy life, like you have, like I have. And but when you unknowingly, because nobody creates an unhappy fate for themselves knowingly, but when you don't know the workings of the law of karma, it is way too easy to go out there and sow a lot of what you don't want to reap, like this meat-eating business. Because even though you do not kill the animal yourself, you participate in the killing by your demand for meat. And I'm sure that many people, they don't realize that the chunk of meat that they see lying in the cold counter at the supermarket, well cut out and well wrapped and with its price tag on it, that this is a result of taking another living being's life. Many people, they don't make the connection. I would say I didn't make the connection until I became a vegetarian 20 years ago. It was just how things were. This is just how it is. And we have been told we need to eat meat to sustain our own life. But this is now being questioned, and in so many research, in so many places of research, like for instance, Michael Greger's excellent book, How Not to Die, Discover the Foods That Will Give You a Good Life. I can't remember exactly the subtitle, or the China study. And there are many other studies that clearly point out that a plant-based diet is so much healthier for you in so many ways. So there's really no need to eat meat. And on top of that, it creates dark karma for yourself. And I am sure that this is karma from eating, and there are two reasons. One reason is this anagram that I have also shared in my article, because if you take the letters of the word coronavirus and move them around, you get the word carnivorous. And I think this is not this is no coincidence. This is really there are no coincidences in this amazing universe. Another reason is that what we do to others, we do to ourselves. And the animals that we raise, we put them in small pens where they hardly have a place to move, and they're trapped. And what are we now? We are all trapped in our homes, exactly the same as what we have exposed these animals to. So this coronavirus is also a wake-up call. It's a huge wake-up call for us to start to look into what we are doing. And I think it's probably quite effective. I mean, not everybody will be able to see the connection, and they would think this is just something that happens by chance. But believe me, nothing happens by chance in the universe. Everything is a result of something we have sown ourselves. So, as I said, it's a wake-up call, and those who can hear it will hear it.
All right, let me ask you this question here, because, plants are living beings too, or living entities as well. But then when we take them from their home, which is somewhere within the earth, isn't that a form of killing too, or what's the difference?
Oh, it is. It is. But The plant is also a living being, obviously, but it is much further back in its journey of evolution than the animal. The plant does not have an advanced nervous system. It cannot feel pain, though it can feel certain things. It can vaguely sense heat and cold, rain and draft, wind and no wind. It has some level of being able to sense its surroundings, but it cannot feel pain. And I mean, we, the humans and the animals for that matter, we have to live from something. And the plant is that something that will provide us with what we need to eat. And of two evils, we should always choose the lesser evil. So when we kill a plant, we choose the lesser evil. And obviously, we have to eat something. So plants, it also states so in the Bible, not that I'm very strong in the Bible, but it says something about God has given you all the plants on the planet and they should serve you as food. So this is what is actually the real suitable food for us at the time we're at our level of evolution right now. Like meat is suitable for tigers, snakes, lions, crocodiles, and hyenas, and other predators. And to the degree that we stand above those predators in evolution, meat is unsuitable for us. And let me just shortly explain why it is unsuitable. Meat is unsuitable for us because of its vibration. Meat has a very heavy and low vibration. So when we put meat into our own body, our digestive system has to overpower the vibration in the meat. And as we are in both cases talking about muscle fiber, we take muscle fiber into our body when we eat meat, and we have our own muscle fiber. There is very little, there's practically no surplus vibrationary energy in our body with which to digest the meat. So the body goes on overwork to digest the meat. And we know that we feel weak when we eat a steak. We need to go and lie on the sofa and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that is simply our body telling us, oh my God, this is hard work for me. So when we do this, and another thing is that on a vibrational level, the meat that we put has this low vibration. And on a vibrational level, the meat feeds the cancer cells, the boils, all sorts of illnesses that are, or bacteria that are the detrimental bacteria that may be present in the body. So when you eat meat, you on a vibrational level, you feed the cancer cells, for instance. Whereas the vibration in plants is much, much higher. And it is much more, well... Is that
because of how they grow, which means they grow from light?
Yes, exactly. Light and water. And I mean, it is much easier for our body on a vibrational level to break down the plant. And like when you have eaten meat, let's say you have been a meat eater your whole life, like let's say 40 years or 30 or however old you are, you have put your digestive system on overwork every day for all those years. And what happens? You undermine the health of your body, because an overworked system is not in an optimal condition. It is in an overworked condition. And this is the real reason why vegetarians are so much healthier than meat eaters. It is not because of the vitamins or whatever it can be, but it is because of the vibration. The vibration in the plants is much easier for our digestive system to overcome, not to mention the vibration in fruit. The fruit has a vibration that is so suitable for the human digestion that it takes no effort for the digestive system. Like the fruit will digest itself. Down with it, and immediately you get the benefits from the fruit. So I mean, there is really no no good reason to eat meat. First of all, for your own health, for the killing of other living beings, for the environment, for the depletion of the natural resources, for climate change. I mean, everything points towards us having to wake up to this fact that it is totally detrimental for our lives, for the planet, for our own good. So, I mean, the sooner we get this into our heads, the better.
You know, I wanted to go down a different avenue as well, because I've looked at documented history, and I was in Austria and I was in the Czech Republic, and I was just kind of, you know, seeing this glorious history that's been documented. And I remember turning to my wife and saying, "You guys are violent."
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys have historically been violent. And then I came back to the United States and I started looking at the history of Spain and the history of England, the history of Portugal, those three in particular, and Germany to a certain extent. I'm like, these guys are pretty much just came around the world and just wreaked havoc. I mean, we've progressed to the society we are to now. But if you look back, if you're an alien and you just kind of have this picture of the earth in, like, you know, a 10-minute movie, you say, I'm not going down there. Those people are violent.
Yeah, but what you have to understand is that we are all on a journey of evolution, a journey that spans many, 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 many lives. We come from the wild predator in the jungle, and this is millions of lives ago. And gradually we have evolved into the somewhat advanced human being that we are today. And I mean, when we were like 200 years ago, like you were looking at how the Austrians behaved, and even, I mean, America had a terrible, horrible civil war in the 1800s. I mean, but this is not something that we can actually blame on any particular country, because that was the level of evolution that we were at that point in time, when we thought that if we went to war, we would gain glory, and it was a great thing to go to war, and all the women would admire a soldier who had been victorious, and all that, and that was the idea. Like, look at Germany and the start of the Second World War. The idea was that, we can go out and we can conquer the whole world, and we are the greatest, and we are the Aryan race and all that. But obviously, it's not how it is. And they suffered badly. And everybody who goes to war and is killed, goes through the war in the trenches. It's a terrible, terrible life. And then eventually you climb out of the trench and you're killed, and you're lying there suffering on the battlefield. And then obviously you wake up from the death, because death is an illusion. You cannot die. Only a physical body can die, but you are not identical to your physical body. And you go on to the spiritual plane for a good long rest, and you see the horrors that you have participated in. So when you are reborn, and a lot of those soldiers who died in the Second World War were reborn, as I was born in 1950. And around that time, a lot of those soldiers that died, because when you die as a soldier, you reincarnate quickly, normally around 7 years after. And then you saw this "Make Love Not War." There was a huge
there was
wave when they reached the time when they were teenagers or young men, young women. There was this huge wave, like, hey, make love, not war. War is wrong. So this is the result. And of course, this is a good result from war. And this also means that war will eventually eradicate itself, because the more soldiers, the more people that are participating in war and experiencing the horrors of it, when they are reborn, they will be totally and absolutely against it. They don't want to participate in another war. And this is where we are heading. And people say times are so terrible and there's so much shit going on in the world. Yes, that is true, but there's also a lot of good things going on. But they are not so much in the media. Like, for instance, when there are problems, like now with the coronavirus, here in Spain, where I live, 50,000 retired doctors and nurses have volunteered to go into the health system to help. And that goes for everywhere in the world where there are crises and problems. There are also people willing to help. And this is much more so than it was only 50 years ago. So it is actually, we're actually moving forward. But it may not look so. But Matthias is adamant about this. In 500 years, the last war will be fought on this planet, and our future looks absolutely bright and beautiful, because it cannot go any other way. Because as we evolve, and for each life we live, we evolve, we become more insightful, we become wiser, we reap a lot of experiences, we reap a lot of suffering from what we have done to others in the past. And in this way, our compassion is awakened. We become much more all-loving, and we begin to see how important it is that we help each other, that we stand together in times of crisis. And we also see this in this corona crisis. A lot of people are much more willing to help now. They stand out on their balconies and sing to each other. That's down in Sicily, for instance. It's also very lovely. So, I mean, there's also a good effect of this. And it shows that we are really evolving. We are on our way towards becoming real, all-loving human beings. We're not there yet, but we're definitely on our way.
Well, awesome. You know, I just wanted to get your take on it because I thought it was so interesting when I read your article. And, you know, it's really funny because I read the article, but I didn't read who it was by. And I said, you know, this sounds like something that my friend would be into. And then I send it to you and you go, and you say, yeah, I wrote that. And then I look at it and I go, how ironic.
Yeah, you said we must talk.
Yeah, I was like, we have to talk. Well, I just want to thank you so much. You're such a value to me in so many ways. And I thank you for being available to me at a moment's notice.
That's great. May I just mention that my website, that's newspiritualscience.com. So this is where you can find all my books, and I have now more than 60 blog posts that I've written, and there's so much free material. And so it's a place where you can go to get more familiar with the work of Martinez. And I mean, we are standing in front of a new spiritual awakening on this planet, and there's no doubt about it. It's just a question of when it will make its real breakthrough. Right now, we are only on grassroots level, but it will advance, and in 100 to 200 years, the spiritual science of Martinez will be much better known, because it is new directions to humanity, new directions from the divine level of existence, whatever we want to call it. But it is the most complete revelation of spiritual truth ever disclosed to humankind. I tell you, it is huge. It's more than 10,000 pages, and I've studied it now for 25 years. And you just read it, and then you reread it, and you reread it, because it's like peeling an onion. You get layer after layer after layer. So, as I said, it's also a very, very optimistic world view, and that is probably why that is the reason why I can live such a happy life. I don't know what makes you so happy, but it's fantastic to have this outlook, to have this world picture, to see the world in this light makes everything so much easier.
And what's your website again?
What? My website?
Was it
newspiritualscience.com.
Newspiritualscience.com. Do you also have a website in your name as well, or is that a different?
Yes, I have, but that is more about I am also an author of hiking books. But I have one in my own name, elsebyskov.com.
Okay. Well, thank you again, and have an awesome day.
And you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you.